Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Universal Lens.
I like your style.
I am John Avelio along with Henry Beltra, and we are laughing because Henry was just talking about what he wants to talk about, and I literally said, hold on a second, and I just dropped it, so let's start.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody had a great week, and hope most of you got to catch our episode last week.
Yeah.
About finding balance in life, and I think that finding that balance is important, right? I think that might play into kind of what you were just.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's exactly right.
What you were just talking about now. Hope everybody had a good week. And if you got close to last week's episode, thank you for listening in. I know we enjoy doing it.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So kind of following up what we were talking about last week with finding balance. You were heading on something, and I cut you off because we'd go another half hour there and talking in the background.
We're at the time of the year where the kids are coming home from college.
Yes.
I have one son. For anybody that doesn't know, I have one son. My younger son, he goes to Embry-Riddle in Daytona.
Smart school.
Very smart school. Like I always tell them, I said, it's a school full of smart people. So it's not like he was an oddity in a smaller pond. But now you're in a bigger pond where all those kids, meet there.
It's normal. So it's the norm, so to speak. There.
Right. And I would say like a lot of the people that attend Embry-Riddle are very high IQ people, they're the engineers of tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. It's
aerospace, in his case, aerospace engineering, but there's a lot of aeronautical and piloting and stuff. It's an amazing school, actually, I'm not a spokesperson, but anyway, good school. But he was just commenting how difficult it is for some of these high performing, high intellect kids to keep a balance, And I hate to just basically piggyback off the last episode, but
marriage piggybacking.
This is important because, like, I noticed that his exposure to balance came from us doing the show, and then me being home and our constant chats about life and just different things. And
conscious dialogue.
My son loves those conversations, and I love that he loves them. So
it's fun. It's nice when you get somebody who loves driving about that stuff and drives with you and loves having those combos.
And I think it's beautiful. So in his case, he's always been a high intellect kid. And we always make a joke like we don't know where he came from. Obviously, it's me. Thank you.
I will park any remarks I might have and
applause. And in his case, I never wanted him to basically go full tilt, Albert Einstein, genius mode where you don't know where you are because you're just caught up in that equation I like for him to experience balance and experience what everything that life has to give you. It's not just although he is your quintessential overachiever, I got it. I think it's great, but do remember to take a breath. Do remember to
tell my kid the same thing.
Enjoy your friends, because let me tell you something. So he got to school and he made friends immediately. Not only did he make friends, they are good friends. I was like, wow, they have a brotherhood. It's everything you want. Like so he's got the friend part and he's got the studies. So we were very proud that he's first 2 semesters there, he's got a perfect 4.0 in a very difficult school.
That's not so tough.
He made the deans. Yeah, he made the deans.
That's crazy.
The dean's list.
Crazy. And
yeah. But anyway, he was telling me how he basically is observing how a lot of these kids go there and they suffer because they're not the top of their class anymore. And it hurts. So like imagine a school full of geniuses. They came from places where they were the genius of the school, right? And they're used to getting perfect grades because they were a big fish in a small pond.
Absolutely.
So now you take that same fish, you throw it in a bigger pond, but now the pond is filled with fish just like them. And it's difficult for some kids to digest that they're not perfect. In the case of my son, he had that adjustment. He wasn't perfect in a few assignments, in a few classes. And let me tell you, in the beginning, it irked him.
It was a little bit of a shell shock.
Oh, it irked.
Yeah.
Because he's the 99. He's that guy.
My heart bleeds for him.
You know what I mean? Like 99. So that he had to learn how to understand that you're not going to be 100 all the time for whatever reason, for whatever reason, the teacher, the material, you, for whatever reason, it happens. You're just not going to be perfect. You just do your best and balance. So he was just telling me, again, the observation that there are kids that walk around campus that have completely given up everything else that is nothing to do with getting a good grade. So I was very specific with my words because, so like they show up to class and they walk in like they just stuck their finger in an electric socket. Like
hair's messed up.
Hair out to there.
PJs are on. Unkept,
PJs on.
Unkept, yeah.
Unkept. And he's like, I get it because I've been there, but you have to maintain some sort of the pizza pie has 8 triangles. This is 7 triangles in his life. 7 slices all get good grades. There's only one triangle where the guy probably goes to the bathroom, eats. It's not doing schoolwork.
There's no balance,
right?
Yeah.
So I referenced the pizza pie. I said, look, it's okay that 2 of your slices of the pizza are devoted to school. Good for you, because my son is that guy. He will stay studying until he gets it all. Doesn't matter what time. And he'll wake up the next day and so I get it, 2 slices. But you reserve a slice to hang out with your friends. You reserve a slice to go to the gym. You reserve a slice to, to do what life actually wants you or beckons you to do.
I like both of those words actually work. Either wants you or beckons you. I like beckons you, but
it's first. So obviously, I'm doing a little sideways pat on the back, like good job, Dad. But it's important. It's important that he or anyone doesn't lose their center, their balance, based on their grades.
Yeah, no, but I think the important question there would be, why does that even happen to these kids? Why do you have these kids? And this could be, and we're going to use this example because I think it might be one, as kids are coming home now from school, that might resonate with some parents if they're seeing their kids come home and they're burnt out, they're tired. They look like, hey, are you okay? Like you look like you're spent. And we understand college is difficult. We understand that depending on your curriculum, yes, you might have to put in extra, it might be important or necessary to put in extra hours here and there to do what you have to do. We understand that. And it could be tiring. I have a son who's in a DPT program, here at Seton Hall, and it's a 6-year program, and he has long days, right? It's a STEM major.
Very demanding.
So long days. So we get that. And I do the same thing as you do. I would check in with a text every once in a while. Hey, bud, how's things going? Especially when I know like he's been silent for a few days. How's everything? Oh, Dad, doing good. Just, been grinding at school.
In the trenches.
I'm like, all right, cool. I go, just remember, have you just, check yourself? He goes, yeah, no problem. Go play basketball yesterday. So I was at the gym this morning. He goes, I'm taking my time. He goes, and I'm trying to keep it, as balanced as I possibly can. I'm like, perfect. That's all you could do. All right. So as you see your kids coming home and you're noticing that on them, you saw Beckon, the question shouldn't be, okay, why they're doing it, obviously, right? To get the grades or to whatever you achieve, whatever they want to achieve in their curriculum or whatever their major is. Why is that happening? Why are they lacking the ability to find that, strike that balance? I didn't even find it, to be able to strike that balance and say, yes, it's important to do your work. It's important to try to get those great grades. It's important to put in the hours to study. I mean, because if you're looking to do something in a certain career, the knowledge is required. We completely understand that. But is that kid taking that time to breathe? Are they coming up for air? You can hold your breath for so long on the water, but if you hold your breath too long, what happens? You don't even realize you can't breathe. You just pass out eventually. That's how people hold their breath for too long. At that last second, they go like this. Oh my God, I got to get to the top. I need air now. Yep. It doesn't like It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't take. You don't see it coming. That's it.
Yeah, it's
right?
here.
It's here. Like you ever try holding your breath in the water? You're like, I'm good. I'm good. Within 2 seconds, all of a sudden you go, like it's it. Like your body goes now, and now you're 15 feet below water. How you gonna get up?
I was hospitalized in college
for doing like what
for grades.
Oh, for grades. I went to the hospital. Breath on the water.
I went to the hospital. I worked myself into a frenzy. I had pneumonia and
your body broke down.
My body broke down.
And you'll see that from kids.
I went to the hospital.
Physical ailments, yeah. Yeah, physical ailments. Yeah, your body breaks down. Your body does break down. So where does it come from? It comes from I would say are these kids before they're sent off to these colleges and universities to do what they have to do, right? To chase their goals and to try to make their life and all that beautiful stuff that comes along with it. But are they being told to understand that there is still a balance to life? Oof. And it's important to have that balance, because I posted something today. I don't know if you saw it. You liked it, actually.
Yes.
With the two actors, I forgot their names. Anyway, and they were talking about how we've been told to value money and not value love and not that, right? And I love that, because I'm like, there's a strong message in what they're saying. Yeah. We become so driven as a society that our children are being taught the same thing. And there's nothing wrong with I'm going to get, like, I could see, like, I'm seeing people on the other side of that lens right now who know me and I know them. And they're like, so what are you trying to say? We should be lazy sacks of shit?
Right.
No, it's not what I'm saying at all.
Neither one extreme nor
the other. It's about, and we're going to use the kids as the example, teaching the kid, yes, apply the time that you need to apply to your studies. Apps. And if it's a 10-hour day today, it's a 10-hour day today.
Sure.
But maybe tomorrow it's not a 10-hour day. Or maybe, you know what, in the morning before you head out, you go and you take a walk. You meditate for 15 minutes under a tree in the quad. You do something to reset yourself a little bit, because those resets that you do, whether it's go to the gym, say, you know what, I'm going to play basketball for an hour, or I'm going to do those resets, whatever they might be, you don't realize how important they actually are.
Yeah.
Now, from a physical standpoint, we all know how important they are. Like physically, your body needs to reset after a while. Like you'll feel when you're getting worn down. And like I said, when you're underwater holding your breath, it doesn't hit you until that last second. The same thing with burnout. You don't see it coming that far in advance. Like you're burning. That candle's going like this. When the candle hits here, now it's like your time to rest and cut it short becomes so small. Like it's immediate now. Or else that's where the burnout happens and the kids start showing up. You're like, are you okay? Like unkept, zombie-eyed, like drawn. Yeah. Like, whoa, okay, now something's wrong here.
Yeah. And as Scott Adams says, people like to differentiate between the body and the brain. He goes, I believe they're one and the same.
They affect each other. Absolutely.
They're one and the same.
It's a handoff. They hand off to each other.
If you take care of your body, watch your brain help you. If you don't take care of your body, well, watch your brain not help you. Oh. The beautiful balance of nature, how that works.
Absolutely.
But there's also another thing happening here that we didn't touch on, and quite frankly, we didn't even have this queued up. But I would be doing a disservice if we don't mention something that's very, very important. And
the tariffs.
The tariffs, the Trump tariffs. Trump tariffs.
No, stop. I'm send you on a tangent. Go.
He might just edit this out.
I'm sorry. No, I'm not, because that's funny shit. Yeah, go.
But there's a cultural thing going on. It's cultural in Asia that you cannot, and anybody who knows, anybody who is Asian can probably say, yep, you can't bring home a bee. You can't.
I've definitely.
You will be a doctor. It's one of those.
Yeah, and that's a cultural thing for sure. Yeah,
that can very much be the gateway to.
Not very much. It is a gateway.
This mental nuttiness where it's all.
Yeah,
it's all or nothing. That is the level of completely blind, bound to the goal and not anything else.
I like that. I like what you just said. Bound to the goal.
Yeah.
It's a very narrow.
So it's a blind.
It's a very narrow.
It's a
view.
It's a blind.
Yeah.
Only that exists.
Yes.
And
agreed.
that's exactly what we're faced with here. Is that these are very special kids in this school. Very special. These are the leaders of tomorrow. 100%. I don't want those leaders of tomorrow to be, oh, I only can do this because I'm a donkey. That only this is the only thing that matters. No, somebody. So don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
These are times where perhaps a school like that could benefit from a little mindfulness action to help those kids.
I'm actually curious. Do they have anything? Because I know most schools, like Seton Hall, where my son goes to, I know they all have something. Is it very vocal in the community in the school? I don't think so. But I know like they do have, like, if you're in crisis mode, like I would assume Embry has to have something like that.
You know what? Maybe they do, but I'm going to tell you this. So you walk through this life, right? So we don't go to school.
It's also very generic what they do.
But
schools.
We don't go to school. We go to life. So we're not in a closed, confined campus.
Yeah, agreed.
We're out there.
Yeah.
John, I meet people. So I'm out there. I'm a realtor. I'm out there. I meet a lot of people.
As you can see the sign, in case he forgets his name, we left it on today.
Well,
that
folks,
happens once in a while.
Don't be shy. You'd like to sell a house, buy a house, anything, somebody.
Shameless plug.
Trust me when I tell you.
He doesn't know I'm sending him a bill for this advertisement.
That's it. Where was I going? Oh, so we're out there in the world. Anytime you speak about the two words, mental health, everybody gets weird.
Yeah, but in schools, I wouldn't think it's as weird anymore. Like, I think it's very accepted in schools. No. Now, I'm not an Embry. So I don't know what it's like at Bethel School. I know, it's
taboo.
Where my kids are. Like, I know it's Seton. So I've done a lot of work up in New York. It's where, as a contractor, we've done a lot of work for years. And I know that so I've seen in one of the I'm not going to name the building just in case somebody's out there listening where this happened to their kid or they live in this building. And there's a specific building where it's about 18 stories, something like that, right? Or 15 stories high. Multiple times a year, kids have committed suicide by jumping off the roof onto the dumpsters in the courtyard. It's a building we walk into. If I had to tell you the amount of times I've gone to work, pulled up, and back in the day when I used to go to the city all the time, and I would go and be cordoned off because there'd be and this is before I entered this world. Like,
tragedy.
This is when I was. Right. I was heading to my burnout at that point. Like I was a donkey.
You would have been. You would have been on the 19th floor.
Yeah. And how many kids, unfortunately, took their lives?
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure on these kids. And when I see that now, you talking about what what your son was telling you that he saw with kids at his school, and I know that I have a son who's halfway through his 6-year program. And thankfully, him and his group of kids, we keep them. And my son I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful I was where I was so I could impart these tools to him. Yeah. Not that he doesn't have struggles. We all have struggles. But to help him navigate it, I'm glad these kids are navigating it well. But like, you see it firsthand how these kids could suffer. And when I would pull up there and I would see these poor kids, I'm like, 18 years old. Your life is just starting a grade. And see, I can't, people go, why would the kid do that? Why would a kid go as far as doing that over a grade? You have to understand, they know what they know. If they don't have the level of awareness to understand that, yes, it's not the grade that you wanted. I get that there is a certain plateau or a certain grade that you want to reach, or that you're being expected to reach by parents or by whatever, or people in your circle or the group you hang out with, everybody gets these grades. I understand that. But like, I implore kids, pay attention, or parents, if you're listening, what is it that makes your kid think that because they didn't get that grade, that they're a failure, and a failure to the point of life doesn't matter anymore because I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect enough. I am not good enough. All stories in your head. You could be the most successful person in a practical world, successful person in 20, 30 years from now and been a B plus student in school or a B student or a C plus student in school. The grades are very important. Please don't get me wrong. Like I'm going to hear people say, "Oh, yeah, it's somebody who wasn't a smart kid in school. That's why he's saying that." Or I wasn't a student. Listen, I was an above average student, B plus, A. But I'm not saying it because I'm trying to make it easy for kids. I'm saying it to understand that the grades matter to a certain point, but in the grand scheme of life, how much do they matter enough for you to destroy your life? In that crazy, unfortunate, exaggerated way where somebody takes their life, or even to the point where you burn a lesser but just as evil, burn yourself out to where now you have to work at kind of getting your bearings again, because once you do have a burnout, like you fried I don't know the exact science behind it, but you have fried your brain, which means it's like an engine that overheated. Now it needs time to cool down. And that cool down doesn't happen in 20 minutes like a car engine. You park it. That cool down could take a minute, with a person if they have a breakdown because they push too hard. They lose touch with reality. That's one of the big things. That's why you see kids coming in all unkept. Like you're like, whoa. Like, do you see me? No, and they don't. And that's scary. So like if your kids are coming home from school and you're getting a whiff of that, sit them down right now. Have a conversation with them. I don't care if your last name ends in a vowel or a consonant. I don't care if you're from Europe or Asia or Africa or North America. I don't give a fuck where you are in the world. If your kid just came home from college and that's what he looks like or that's what she looks like, sit them down and have an honest conversation with them about how things are going. Not how their grades are. How are they? Like how many parents ask their kids, how are you? Not, what's the first question most parents, and I was guilty of this. So how'd the finals go?
Yeah.
So let's say your kid didn't achieve their grade. What's the first thing that's going through their head right now?
How do I lie? Or how do I get out of this? How do I?
But if I said to you, I'll use my son as an example, right? Because he's like, hey, John, how's everything going, buddy? Are you good? How are you? Well, I left that. It's a very open question. Now that kid could, I'm exhausted. It was such a hard semester. I feel like all of a sudden you're going to get that. They might vomit that to you. Like a kid might break down and cry. You don't know. I mean, kid might say, Dad, it was great. I had a great time. I was partying. School was easy. All right, beautiful. If that's the case, awesome. All right, great. I'm happy for you. But if you have that kid who's on the precipice of something, you'd be surprised how quickly they're going to do this, right? And they're going to, this is what's happening. And let me tell you what's happening. And now you have a chance, right? You have a chance to reach them and to have that conversation with them and to hopefully change that path for them and teach them, how to.
I think we have a blind spot. We have a blind spot.
To what?
Our blind spot is that we are.
We as who? Us?
Well, me and you right now here in the show. Is that our intentions are good. But the blind spot is that a lot of what we're trying to say is that kid has that thought process. That kid has that story in his mind because of the programming, because of how he grew up, because of how he was raised.
I agree.
We're reaching out to those parents that gave them that story, that reinforced.
But hopefully they're going to become those parents.
That's what we're hoping for.
By us saying it out loud, are they going to, like, is whoever's on the other side of that camera, our hope, I'm going to say, is, are they hearing it going, I never realized I should ask.
I hope so.
I should ask the question.
Yeah, I hope so.
How are you? Like, if you ever see a Dodge Ram driving around Monroe Township with the plates, are you okay? That's me. Knock on my window and say hi, right? So, like, that's the question. Like, you don't have to ask, are you okay? But how are you? Like, hopefully that parent's going to go like this. Like, what I would love to think is going to happen is somebody's going, I always ask my kid, how are your grades? Are you maintaining that average? Are you going to lose your scholarship? Or am I asking the kid, hey, how are you? How was the semester? How are you holding up? You managing stuff? How, just talk to me and let me know and see what comes out first. Instead of, like, maybe you're right. We might have a blind spot where they're going to hear it and go, you don't fucking understand, or you don't know. We want our kids to be better than we were. We need our kids to be more successful than we were. Well, that's a you problem. Don't give that problem to your kids.
Yeah. But that's the issue.
It's brutally honest. I'm sorry if somebody gets offended, but I'm not.
But that's the issue.
I'm here to teach, not to pamper.
There's a lot of things going on for those people that's how they were raised. That's how their parents were raised.
Yeah, it's a generational curse.
And that's how I'm doing. So what ends up happening is that the part that's their blind spot is that, possibly things were different in a different time, right? Every generation has different things to
absolutely
deal with.
Agreed. 100%.
This was not present back in the day, so
they had a different experience of life than our children are having. Absolutely, 100%.
In my opinion, mental health is very delicate nowadays, and more delicate than people let on, because that's another thing, is to fake it. So you'll have a lot of people repress their mental health issue. You have a lot of people, so mask, disguise. There's nothing going on here, although they're ready to implode. Okay, all good. But the reason that student is acting the way they're acting, the reason that kid went to the 19th floor and took his or her life is because there is no way in the story in their head, there is not acceptance for anything less.
They don't see a way.
The only story
they don't see a way through.
That's the story.
They don't see a way through.
Right. That's the story. So I think lesson to all of us, because it's not, this, I would hate for this to come across as we're perfect parents.
Oh no, I just said we're not.
Right. So
I
definitely,
said guilty a couple
far
times.
from perfect parents, but
this about us.
This gift has taught us a lot. The gift of awareness, the gift of mindfulness has taught us a lot, and we just share it with you. And we share with you, and again, I see this happening now, and I mentioned it to you now. And the show is about, when your youngster comes home, at the end of the day, why do we say this? Because
get eyes on them. Yeah.
I don't know a parent that would answer this question incorrectly when they say, would you prefer your kid be a doctor, or would you prefer your kid be alive? If anybody says, oh, doctor, no, I want my son or daughter here, alive.
That would be, that would definitely be
It sounds like a stupid question.
Yeah, but
we're doing stupid things,
Agreed. Yeah,
we're doing stupid things, and we're doing blind things, and perhaps we're just doing things that were also our own programming. So it's what our parents did to us, so therefore we do it to them, and it makes sense. I get why you would think that, but at some point, somebody's got to make the pivot. Somebody's got to make the qualitative turn of saying, hey, as important as grades are, John, how are you? How are things? How are you feeling?
That's exactly what we're saying.
And then when he says to you, I think I got a 77 in physics, stop. I don't care. Don't worry about that right now. We'll talk about I care about
We'll circle back.
I care about your 77, but more important,
we'll circle back to that.
How you doing? How's the food over there? Good? You doing good? You look good, man. You've been working out. Whoa.
To get a feel, get a pulse for how they're managing their life, how they're managing their time, how they're managing their mental and physical health as they go through this, especially for, not to give it a hierarchy to some majors are more important than others, but especially to those kids who are in the more demanding fields, right? Who are chasing a more demanding, treacherous kind of path.
Tomorrow's doctors, tomorrow's
whatever it might be, scientists, physicists, check on them, or finance major. It doesn't make a difference, but check on them and get a pulse on your kid and see how they're doing. This is the perfect opportunity when they come home fresh, not in a month when they've relaxed and they've kind of released and see how they are when they come home and get a real time. It's like going outside and finding out the weather for yourself, not looking at it on the app. Go see how it is. Go and get a real feel from your kid how they're managing everything right now. And if you feel some red flags coming up, perfect opportunity for you to help them navigate those red flags before they go back in a couple of months, and start year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, whatever it might be for them. Because college has become a much more rigorous, demanding venue than it used to be, right?
Yeah.
The arena is a different arena than it was when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
It was. And not that doctors didn't study hard back then. They did. I give my son's example. Physical therapist wasn't a 6-year degree 10 years ago, right? You didn't have to be a bio major 10 years ago.
He's almost a doctor.
Now they call it DPT. It's a doctor of physical therapy.
Yeah.
It's actually a 6 or 7 year program. It became more intense. And a lot of, not his only, majority, if not all degrees have added years and specialties, and kids are double the majors.
Yeah.
And they're all doing wonderful things, and that's all beautiful. And I implore all these kids to do it. And we want to support them as they go on that journey. We don't want to shush them away from it. We're not trying to say, don't take the harder route. Don't do it, because no. But as parents, are we arming them with the right tools to be able to navigate it properly? This way the kids don't look like zombies. This way our kids don't look like they're burnt out, and they don't suffer. Like, burnout doesn't have to happen. Like, I wonder if people realize, like, burnout, work burnout, adult burnout, child's college burnout doesn't have to happen. It is avoidable.
It is avoidable.
100% avoidable, but it's only avoidable if like you were saying before, you were alluding to, do we have a blind spot? Are they being taught that? Are they being shown that? Are they being giving those right tools of acceptance and surrender to certain things, and being able to say, not just time management. Time management skills are one thing, right? A kid could take time management skills and squeeze 20 hours of schoolwork into 18 hours. It's time management, but you're not teaching them. That's not mental health, physical health, balance, time management. So to teach a kid to have the awareness to say, are you running hot? Come off the pedal for a second. Coast. Bring it down. You'll play catch up, right? That's it. If you have to catch up, you'll catch up tomorrow, because tomorrow your goal is to want to be there 100% tomorrow, not 20%. 20% tomorrow is not going to do you any good. You need, or 100% or whatever, 80% or 70%, whatever it might be, but you need to be able to recoup and breathe a little bit. And are they being taught that?
And we do. I admit, we preach here. We're preachers. We just disguise our conversations.
Yeah, but
we're preaching.
But why do you say we're preaching right now?
We're preaching because I'm going to tell you why. Because
preaching makes it sound like
no. It's a provocative use of the word.
No, okay.
Meaning, you can't hold a guidepost for your child if you are not aware yourself.
Exactly. Okay.
So you're helping your child be aware of something, but you're not aware. So in order for you to be able to help your child, and the reason I mention this is because it happened to me. So all the things you're hearing of all the good stuff we did, let me share with you something that I didn't do correctly. Meaning, prior to finding mindfulness and awareness, post mindfulness and awareness, after you realize
two different worlds.
Yes, it's the before and after, right?
Sure.
And you start to think of before, and you're like, oh my God, how blind was I? And that happened to me with my other son, where I would have conversations with him and he would automatically respond to me in a way which is indicative that I am constantly critiquing.
Yes.
So
I get that. I see that.
Right?
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand
100%.
exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
So
I've done that.
I made sure at that moment, number one, I hit the brakes and I said, I'm not critiquing. But the programming was already ingrained. So no matter how many times I say I'm not critiquing you, it's already ingrained.
Yeah, I that's 100% true.
So from that moment forward, I make sure that before I give him my it's just my opinion. Now that he's older, especially, I make sure that we're just two guys talking, and I'm going to give you my opinion, but you're the driver. So it's not a critique. And I can see the programming fading away, but it's taken a while.
Sure.
Because it's programming.
It doesn't unravel overnight. No.
That is just experience that I pass on to anyone. Because in order for you to help your child find some balance, help your child find some awareness,
you need to be that guidepost.
You have to provide the guidepost. But if you're lost in your own, you provided the story. You provided the the story that the kid is living by.
Yeah. So I get you. What you're absolutely saying there is, if you're noticing that you haven't worked on yourself,
Yes.
how are you going to help your kid?
That's it.
At best, at worst, you notice a red flag in your kid, right? And there, at least you're able to notice that red flag in your child. Best case scenario is you notice it in you and you start implementing a different modality of living,
a
different strategy of living. And you, as Henry loves to say, you upgrade that iOS system. Upgrade your iOS to being a more aware, conscious person where you see things differently. Life actually does change when you do this. Like the way you see life changes. Things in life don't seem as dire as they used to anymore because you're not attaching to these stories. But if you could do that to yourself, imagine what you could do to your children. But at least when they come home now, get a pulse.
So that's it.
Get a pulse of them. Get a pulse of them. And once you get the pulse and you notice maybe if there's something off, start to see what you could do to reset them. And then maybe take a moment and reflect and say, okay, have I passed this on to my kids because I haven't noticed and I've been asking the wrong questions? Wait, let me reframe that. I've been phrasing the questions improperly. The question itself, how did the test go? There's nothing wrong with it. Right. How are your grades? There's nothing wrong with it. There are questions that can be asked and there's an importance to them. It's the, when am I asking that question? Is that the first question? Is that the second question? What is the language I'm using when I ask the question? Because the language we use, right, frames a certain picture immediately. How we say things frames a picture. So be the child on the other end who hears the parent ask this question and think to yourself, well, if that was me, what would be the first thing? Like I said to you before, what do you think that kid's thinking when the parent goes with the first question? So how did the midterms go when they walk in the door? Or how did your finals go? Like now that kid's on defense, what do I tell them? Oh my God, what do I tell them? What do I tell them that I gotta fucking see? Oh, how do I do this? Or hey buddy, welcome home, man. Hey, you look good. So how you doing? How's everything? How you handling things? And all of a sudden the kid's like, and here comes the story. Right. Here comes something, whatever it might be. You're going to get, I think, a more honest answer. So paying attention to how you frame it, the words we use, the language we use, when we ask these kids these questions, you'll be surprised of how the conversation goes from there.
Yes. And awareness also gives you, again, an extra gear, as I say.
You actually become more productive. Yeah.
So if your kid comes home and he is telling you, basically what you want to know, how is it going, and specific examples, and let them go and listen.
Active listening.
Yeah, because if we're blind, we're going to be, oh yeah, that's great. No, the awareness antennas go up. My son or my daughter needs to talk, and I'm here to listen. It may not be something that I'm not interested in, although anything that my son is interested in, I'm interested, but
I know what you're saying, yeah.
You listen because you pick up clues. You pick up where your kid's at.
A lot of hidden messages.
What are they thinking? Yeah. What is in their mind? What's going on? And you pick up the necessary data as a parent to say, he's on a good course. Oh, he could work on that. Whatever it is. So that's what awareness, and again, this is what I mean by we preach. We're mindfulness pushers in the sense this has brought a lot of value and goodness to our lives. And quite frankly, without it, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You ever heard of that?
No.
All right, so it's an old. I mean, I'm going to quote it, and I'm probably going to quote it incorrectly, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the first need is like sustenance, so like eating. Like the basic, breathing, eating. Relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, all that. That child's hierarchy of needs or hierarchy of priorities is first, those grades. The grades. If the grades aren't there, everything else is crap. So that's why they get themselves into this pickle, because the grades aren't there. And What am I going to do to the person that told me this is the hierarchy? So they have this internal, not debate, but crash that it can't go together. Bad grades and me telling my parents just don't go together. So, drastic things can happen.
And again, none of this is to minimize grades for anybody. We're not minimizing it at all. We understand that there's a importance to it, like I do too, right? And we have these conversations with our kids. But is it, like you said before, what's more important, to become a doctor? Just to use that as an example, a pilot, a doctor, an engineer, whatever you want to say, right? Or be alive.
Right.
And what kind of life do you want to live? We live in a society that is so go, 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 so success driven. I was having coffee with my friend Lewis a couple of days ago, and he works at Johnson & Johnson, but he does life coaching there for members of his team and like people in the company itself. And he asked me, he goes, John, let me ask you a question. He goes, what does it mean if you don't fail? If you fail at something, like what does fail mean to you? And first I asked him, I go, like what, the acronym, like what the letters mean? He goes, well, just what does fail mean to you? I said, and I gave Mr. Here, hold on, Mr. Awareness, Mr. Mindfulness, Mr. Book, and all this. My answer was, I don't know, that I didn't succeed at something. And he almost started laughing. He's like, see what you just said? He goes, you didn't succeed. So you have a conditioning that failing means you didn't succeed. That came from my childhood, right?
It's your story.
Now, in my
program,
if I'm going through motions of something and I fail at it or I don't succeed at it, so to speak, I don't go down that rabbit hole because I see it. But look what the response was that came out of my mouth. He actually said, he goes, you know what it means? First attempt in learning. And I was like, I like that. First attempt in learning, right? It means you didn't fail. So even if your kid got a 50, like that's not what dictates your life.
That's right.
The importance of grades is there, but like is it more important than the well-being of a human being? Is it more important? Are grades more important than the overall experience somebody has in living life?
No.
Driven people are going to tell me to shut the fuck up. Like, I'm not, but like that's the answer I would get. Like, you must be A or you have to be A because you think you're weak. That's what losers say. And that's going to be the answer you're going to get from the.
Well, I'm a hardcore conservative.
No, you're a conscious person.
I'm a conscious person.
That's a difference, right? You're different. And this is just to paint the picture. Like,
you're right.
But when people say that to somebody else, there's an effect that they have. Yeah. And this is not to say that if you are, no, driven is great. Getting great grades is great. Doing all that is beautiful. But if it comes at the expense of your kid's health, what have you accomplished? Right? And this comes from a parent, like both of my kids are great students, right? My wife was very smart in school. She was a great student. I mean, I had one bad year in college, but besides that, because I had a little too much fun my freshman year, which my kids don't let me live down, I was a very good student my whole life too. So I understand the importance of grades in school, and I'm all for that. But when is it more important than the well-being of a child, of a student, of somebody who you see is burning that candle so hot on both ends that like there's no good outcome for them?
Yeah.
And it's a concern that I have as a conscious person who kind of sees life through a different lens, right? Where it's not just about the achieving of the goal. It's about, but if your trip all the way to the top of the mountain was treacherous and disgusting and it was horrific and you didn't enjoy a second of it, but now you're at the top, what have you actually experienced? Like, I made it. Okay, great. But it sucked the whole way. So your experience was shitty and horrible, and there was no joy in it. You were never able to find joy in it. And but you got to become a X, whatever it might be. Is there an imbalance there, or am I crazy to say that there is? At least, look, again, that's how I just see life nowadays. Like, and like you said before, which I think is awesome. This gives you another gear. So that person who is driven, if you're a driven person and you want to do well and you implement awareness on top of it and acceptance and mindfulness, by the way, you don't have 6 gears. You get 7 and 8 gears. You're able to actually go farther, go longer, and do more than you think you'd be able to do. But you're doing it not unconsciously, not with a carrot, like a donkey chasing a carrot and just, I gotta go. you're actually able to do it with the blinders off and to be able to see everything around you and choose wisely to where you can navigate those things in a much better way.
Yes, actually. So I would have a message for all the young kids, but specifically for these, again, the high IQ, high.
That's where I usually see it. Yes,
right.
absolutely.
The locked in story. Well, learn about mindfulness, learn about awareness so that you can be suddenly aware of, oh, wow, whoa. You get that awareness where, wow, I'm really all in on this one area and I'm completely lacking in another area. You're helicoptering view now. Well, that extra gear will take you places that I'm sure with your intellect and your skills,
it becomes a major asset.
But imagine having that awareness that you are brilliant in a certain field, but you're not pigeonholed in that. No, you're aware, you're courteous, you're a nice person. Absolutely. I can talk. We can want to go play a game of basketball. Want to go.
It gives you capacity.
And
that's
and I could take you out of your element. And now I go to another element. Where are we? We're at a hip hop concert. Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, you're aware. You know how to navigate. You know how you're going to be an amazing person. But if you're so caught up in only that one programming, in that grades are everything, and if I get a 99, I cannot show up at home because my father is going to just beat me, berate me. God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've had Asian friends that I heard they get beaten.
Yeah,
you know
I don't. I mean, I don't know.
They've gotten beaten because they brought home 80 something. Like,
yeah, I know. Well, Italian kids used to get hit with a wooden spoon.
Yeah.
If
you don't know how to make it the sauce,
I think we've all, unfortunately and hopefully, we've killed those. We've stopped those stigmas. Yes, we've broken those generational curses.
We tend to just make those historical mistakes that were handed to us, and we keep handing it forward and adding our own.
Absolutely, and it amplifies with every generation.
Right.
And as life has gotten more complicated, as life has gotten more has sped up, and as far as everything is at your fingertips, and nowadays there's no waiting around, there's no learning of patience for anything. There's no, like, patience was something was ingrained when you were a kid because you had to wait for certain things to happen. Nowadays we don't have that, so all that because everything is at our fingertips, all that becomes it's like an amplifier. And now you take a very old school mentality of, and you plug it into that. It doesn't resonate like the grandfather to, like, from my grandfather to my father, right? It was like, well, there was a difference. Like, one didn't have maybe, electricity.
Right.
Like, I get that.
The TV came
but
later.
Life still moved at a certain pace for overall. Like, it didn't hit as hard. Yeah. But as the generations have gone, I'm going to say 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the new millennium.
The speed of technology.
That amplifier with every decade that passes is cranked up, cranked up, cranked up. So now when you plug this antiquated program into it, you bring out a child who doesn't realize that, like, I got to get 100, I got to get 100, but on top of getting the great grades, everything else in life that's going on around them. So we're only talking about the school part of it right here. The school part of it is this much. But what about the social dynamics that they have to deal with the school, which makes them feel left out, or makes them feel a certain way, or makes them feel like they're an oddball, they're not part of something, they're the lone wolf, or they're the outcast.
No friends,
no friends.
No girlfriend.
Yeah, no good experience. I don't have nobody. I don't really hang out. Everything else that just amplifies even more and even more and even more. And that's where you get these kids who start to feel such solitude, like they're on an island by themselves, that they start to do drastic things, or the burnout happens, and the mental health starts to really fade because they're believing the story that they're not worthy, they're not good enough. So as a parent out there, and we've talked about parenting your kids, not that we're parenting experts and we're not trying to be, but we're conscious people who understand the detriment of certain behaviors. That's probably the best way to put it. take your kid's pulse when you're with them for the next couple of weeks, because they're all coming home now. Like my son just came home a few days ago. The first thing I said to him was, "Hi, how's everything?" He was home for 4 days for actually. This is the honest God truth, and I'll have him come when he comes home next week. He went away with his friends for a few days. I'll have him come on the show and tell you. Yesterday, he's been home for a few days. Yesterday was the first day I went like this. I go, "Oh my God, by the way, how'd the finals go?" Like, but it was 3 days later. And he's like, "No, Dad, everything went great. Like, yeah, I got this thing, blah, blah, blah. Here are my grades, awesome. Like, beautiful. It wasn't like when we picked him up to ride home the next 2 days, we didn't even talk about it. We didn't even, and it, because what's the importance of me beating on that instead of getting this lovely person back under the house to let them breathe after a tough semester, give them some, no offense to eating whole cafeteria food, give them some good home cooked food,
exactly.
Your bed, your nice hot shit, whatever you should, and just kind of the comforts, creature comforts of your own home, and kind of say, "Hey, bro, de-stress. We played golf yesterday," and then like literally, by the way, we were literally putting the golf bags. I looked at him, I go, "Oh shit!" I go, "Dude, by the way," I go, how'd the finals go?" But at that point, he was already, completely disarmed and de-stressed, and we were able to talk about that for a few minutes. So like, just pay attention. We're not like, I know he said we are, and maybe it sounds like we're preaching, but we're not trying to preach to parents. We're not saying parents, you're horrible people. No,
no. When I say we preach, is that we preach mindfulness and awareness. That's what we profess.
We do preach that.
We profess mindfulness because of the incredible positive it's going to bring to your life. So that I'm guilty of sounding preachy, but
that's not even preachy. It's teachy.
It's teachy,
not preachy.
Yeah, and that's
teachy, and we teach. That's what we do.
And early in my journey of mindfulness and awareness, that same son, my son, because both my sons play baseball. One continues to, but my other son was playing baseball his whole entire life. Great ball player, but in the upper levels, it was getting very difficult for him to hit. Defensively, no problem, but offensively was a problem. And I think he was already teetering on the decision of not continuing to play.
Yeah.
And baseball in my house was a religion, and I could, right?
I could attest to that.
and I can sense that he was apprehensive about quitting. So because I can sense it, I would say at the dinner table, if any one of my children, because I have 3 athletes, if any one of my children wants to quit a sport,
you open the door. You kick the door open without pointing somebody. It's great. Yeah.
What do I want? The sport or my kid? I want my child. I don't care about the sport. Certainly, it would be a shame, but forget that. I want my child. If my child isn't happy or feels like that's good enough for me. That's it. I want my child all day. You give me the choice. Hey, your son could be a professional. Yeah, great. But would it cost him his happiness or his ability to? I want my son. Give me the other option. My son, my daughter. That's the answer all day long.
How come you didn't say your wife?
She's not my daughter.
I get it. I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
So in my journey, I realized there is the hierarchy of needs, of real important stuff.
Yes, absolutely. The human being, the person, not the goal, not the check marks in life. Any spiritual teacher you talk to, or any life coach, or any mental health mentor, will tell you what's important is, are you enjoying your experience in life? Not is everything going great in life. It's not what I'm saying. Are you enjoying your experience in life with the ups and the downs, the ebbs and the flows, the yin and the yangs, and all that one? Are you enjoying your experience in life? Hey, son, daughter, are you enjoying your college experience? If the answer is no, we need to stop, pause, let's have a conversation. Not, there's not enough parties, because there are certain answers that you're going to go in as a parent. You rightfully be like, all right, listen, I think our priorities are a little, right? Like enjoying doesn't mean going on benders every weekend or 5-6 days a week. No, that's not. Enjoying means, are you enjoying the experience like holistically for what it is? Are you present? Are you there? Are you actually paying attention to it as it happens, for the studies and the parties, for the the library time and the basketball games, for the late night studying in the room and the hanging out at the cafeteria with your friends. Like, are you there for those experiences? Are you actually present for them? And if they are, well, then that's the ultimate goal, because that person will stay balanced. That person will stay, while there will be difficult days, absolutely, even days where they're going to feel overwhelmed or they're going to be upset about things, but they're going to have the capacity to navigate those things. And that's what I think we're kind of trying to get that message out today, because we just had 2 kids come home, right? I'm going to send my youngest, my daughter's going to start school, and she's going on to a 6-year program also for teaching and speech pathology, which is going to be another difficult,
grueling.
A little bit of a gruel, but
doesn't have to be.
It doesn't I mean, the workload is the workload.
Sure.
We understand that, but the experience doesn't have to be like, because we could do
it differently.
We could show you how to navigate things where there's no attachment to, okay, you studied and you got this grade. I always tell my kids one thing: put the effort in. Like, you're not going to get an A by playing Xbox all day, right? Because it's a cause and effect. I mean, that's the law of nature, right? You remember your kid, garbage in, garbage out. If I put garbage in, I'm most likely going to get garbage out. If you put your best effort, not my best effort, not his best effort, not her best, because we all have different plateaus, right?
That's it.
We're all built differently. I know me. I can't do as much as certain people. My capacity, right? I'm built differently. I know what I can excel at and what I can't. But do your best, put your best foot forward. The result is what the result is. But if you know you really gave it your best, time management, you did you approached it with a good balanced approach, and this was the score you got. Okay, that's the score. But the result doesn't dictate whether you succeeded or you failed at it. What did you do? Was the process there? Did you go through it properly? Were you present for the whole experience? Were you aware of what was actually happening? And if the answer is yes, and you did study and you put the time in and you did what you had to do for schoolwork wise, and if you needed extra help, maybe you went to go extra, whatever it might be. And the goal is, instead of here, it's here. Beautiful. That's fine. Well, what else can we ask from you? I could tell you that this sucks and you got to do better. But Dad, I tried the kid. I know as a kid, like when I would be like, I tried my best. That's my best. And I know it sounds like a cop out, but no, like I tried, maybe in a different time, or maybe if there was 10 more hours in the day, or maybe if there was other things, but like what I had at hand, I tried my best. This was my result. You know how nice it is when a parent goes, I know you tried. I know you gave it your best. That was it. That's great. Because what's important here is you learn how to give something your best effort. You did it consciously and aware. You weren't blind the whole time. And by the way, next time you do it, maybe the grade gets better, and maybe the grade. So I'm not going to judge your existence on a grade, or on 2 grades, on 3 grades, or on 4 grades. I'm not even going to judge your existence, because it's not my place to judge your existence. But like, if I want to see your overall picture, I want to see a healthy, well-rounded human being who enjoys this experience called life while achieving success and all those beautiful things. But I'd rather have you whole and be above average, let's just say, than you broken and be like, oh yeah, but my kid's number 1. Yeah. Like, he's number 1 student in school,
of everything,
valedictorian, but he's a broken soul. No. I mean, if somebody takes offense to that, I would get a mirror, I would look, and I would say, what are my priorities in life, and what am I showing my children?
Yeah.
I mean, I do it because there's a calling, like, to say, are we arming these kids with the proper tools to navigate life? Because as life speeds up, as things get more and more complex, and the speed of technology moves, it becomes just more daunting. Yeah. Things get harder and harder for them also to navigate. And if if kids aren't paying attention, they'll run off the rails, and not even to their fault. It's just, this is what my program says to do, so I'm going to do it.
And it broke my heart. It broke my heart to hear the stories that he was telling me. And I said, oof. And then it just came up in our conversation here, and I was like, "Yeesh."
Yeah, we talked an hour about it. So look how that happens. Yeah, I mean, look. So, I mean, from our point of view, if you're out there, put your hand on your kid's shoulder tonight. Sit on the couch with them. Have an open conversation. Check in on them. You'd be surprised what you hear, right?
I think if you diffuse, if you let some air out of that tire, the kid was going to feel like, oh, really? Like I can let loose.
I can let loose. Yeah, yes, you can. That's so important.
You not only can you should. You should diffuse. Right now we're in break. Good. Oh, good. Let's break. What's up? What's the schedule like on break? Well, good. If it's a nice, well-rounded, a beautiful thing, that's great. Great. Have fun. Have some me time. Love it. Great. Because I know when you go back, it's going to be a rigorous schedule. So, yeah. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to tell anybody how to parent, but I hope that wasn't what came across. I hope what came across is what mindfulness and awareness has done for us and our ability to see the field a little bit more clearly than other people who may not have that helicopter view awareness, and how it has helped shape our parenting and our relationship.
We'd be doing a disservice to people if we sat here and just told people what they want to hear and not what they need to hear. Yeah, and it's, again, like Henry said, it's not us telling you people how to parent their kids, because what we're talking about, we've made those mistakes. Like that's we
continue to make mistakes.
That's why we could speak about it, because there are mistakes that we've made in the past and we've adopted a new way of life. And while we're still human and mistakes do happen, we try to avoid those larger ones by being aware, conscious people. So we're not telling you how to parent, but we'd be doing everybody a disservice if we came on these two mics and just sat here and tell people what they want to hear and not what they need to hear. Because if you're really good at something, if you're out there, you're a great painter, or you're a great artist, or you're a great singer, and I'm sitting here and I don't know much about it, and you're telling me, well, John, you're not projecting your voice because you're not doing this properly. I can sit and go, it's for you. What do you know? Well, you know way more about music than I do. I'm going to listen to you because you're an expert in your field. You've gone through stuff. You've done years of study. You've been in bands. You've been in this world for years now. I don't know shit about singing. So yeah, let me hear what you have to say. Same thing. There's experience at this table. There's wisdom at this table. There is being on both sides of the coin at this table. So when we say something, don't listen to the words as we're telling you you're dead, you're bad. Yeah. No, take it as this is what we notice now, that we see life differently, right? And when we hear a kid come home and his son says, the kids are zombie-eyed and they were like unkept and this and that, a regular parent who maybe is not as aware and just kind of caught up in the daily would be like, oh man,
freaks.
What's wrong with these kids? Why they can't take a shower?
Right.
And you're not being a bad person by saying that. It's just, if your blinders aren't off, you're not going to a person might not realize that's a red flag. Like something's happening there. Like, whoa, let's put a hand on that kid's shoulder. That's all we're trying to say. We come from a place of experience. We come from a place of this whole show. Even though it's probably an episode we haven't used this word in, this whole show is based in love, like love for life, love for people living wholesome, beautiful lives for whatever might happen, love for awareness, love for presence, love for God, love for spirituality. It's just love. That's what life is based on. And that's kind of everything we do is because we love you guys and we want you guys to have that knowledge and wisdom.
And that's the first thing you said.
Exactly. With the awareness as your guide, as your navigational compass, you just see things differently. You notice the human in front of you and what they're experiencing, and you automatically have empathy for that person and what they're experiencing. And you don't make it about, let me tell you right now. That conversation could happen.
Yeah, but it happened.
Okay, so when the sea has calmed and the person's come back, then you can say, okay, how did this happen? And now you can have a conversation. First thing I need to do is be there for this person to get them emotionally to help them get themselves emotionally under control, to navigate this properly, to take a breath and step back so their mind can let whatever's shooting through his brain fly out and then come up with a more intelligent, now what do we do next?
So stay tuned for more mindfulness and awareness teachings, because it's this that really makes the difference in your life. And we're here for a very finite amount of time. Let's make sure that time is incredible. It's beautiful. It's joyous. It's not filled with strain, which is going to come. Stress will come. Things will happen. But we don't have to make sure it happens. We don't have to make sure.
You don't have to help it.
Things will come.
It'll yes.
Life, curveballs, everything. You know?
As Eckhart Tolle says, life will happen.
Right.
Oh, you just wait. Life will happen.
Right, that's it.
He goes, wait. Yeah. It'll happen. Everything is great right now. That's beautiful.
Good for you.
He goes, just wait. And when he says it, there's a truth to it, right? You understand it. Just wait.
And the number, so 45, or you're 50, right?
Yes, I am.
The number,
almost 51. So enjoy the journey.
The number teaches you. The number signifies you've been down the road quite a bit. And if you haven't learned, then you're not doing it right. Because every curveball should teach you. Okay, got it. And if you're just, basically, if everything is a curveball, like for me, everything was a curveball, then you're doing it wrong, and you're passing that on to other kids, to the other people around you. And I don't know if that's what you want to do. But anyway, tune in. Mindfulness awareness here for free, all day long. We said it at day one. Go to the corner store and get some mindfulness. We'll be there. We'll be there, ready to serve you in our mindfulness bodega.
I'll probably be smoking a cigar, but I'll be there.
I'll be with you. We'll have a little espresso and a cigar.
Yep. So I think that's a good one. That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hope you found something useful out of this. I know I do every week, and I'm sure Henry does also. As we implement these things in our daily lives.
Absolutely.
I hope you do also. And it has a beneficial change for the way you see life and interact with life on a daily basis. So love to all.
That's the word, love. That's the one.
Peace and love to all. And we will catch you guys next week. Later. The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.